your position that you have no idea what sufficient evidence for the resurrection looks like, but you're confident you haven't seen such evidence?
Correct. In the same way that this is asked to me quite often about, what would change your mind about God? And my
Mhm.
answer is, I don't know what would change my mind, because it would be arrogant of me to presume that I have the understanding of reality to be able to tell the difference between a real God and a fake God, or some being that's just powerful enough, or a strong delusion, or an evil demon, or whatever else.
Sure.
But if there is a God, that God absolutely knows what would convince me, and has not provided that evidence yet.
Okay. But then here's my follow-up question. If you don't know what the sufficient evidence looks like, you have no idea what it looks like, how can you be convinced you haven't seen it? Because what if you failed to recognize it? It'd be like if I said, I have no idea what a hygrometer looks like, but I know I haven't seen one. Seems like you've left yourself open to, you've missed it because you don't know what it looks like.
I would never say, if I don't know what a hygrometer looks like, I would never say I know that I haven't seen one.
Okay,
I
what
could
does
not
sufficient,
say that
what
I
does,
haven't seen something I don't know. What I'm saying is that, and so, and all the opportunities for somebody to present sufficient evidence, what they have presented are fallacies and testimony. There's no physical evidence. There's nothing that would rise to the level of being admissible in a courtroom.
a courtroom is not ordered towards finding the truth. There are biases in the courtroom to prevent the punishment of the innocent.
Correct.
So, we can't try somebody twice, even if we get new evidence. Like it's slated so that we'd rather let a guilty person go free. It's not just about finding
Yes.
truth. It seems
Yes.
like I'm wary of those kinds of analogies. I think we should
That-
say, well, what does the evidence point to
but
this
but
in the
that's
past? And for me, go ahead.
That's the foundation of my epistemology, which is what I pointed out in the opening. This whole notion about the bias in the courtroom to avoid punishing the innocent is
Right.
exactly the same thing as I have a bias in my epistemology to avoid being conned and duped into believing something that isn't true. I want to believe as many true things as possible and as few false things as possible.
So it sounds like you're taking not just an epistemology, but a historiographical approach, like how we do history, that is just totally different from every other historian in the world.
I'm not a
What makes you
historian. I'm not a historian, and I don't care what methods historians use,
okay?
because
So then you're not.
they
Would you
can't
say then
confirm.
you're not
They can't.
qualified to tell us what's reasonable to believe in historical matters?
I can explain to you what I do and don't find reasonable and why. I'm not a historian.
Okay. What I'm saying is though, what is reasonable for people to believe about the past, whether you're convinced of it or not, doesn't it doesn't matter. You could say, well, I'm not sure this or that, but there seems to be evidence and historical scholars in agreement on this. And I'm trying just to go with the bedrock here that Jesus was, just starting with Jesus was crucified. He died by crucifixion. It's not just they believe it. Every historian in the world who teaches at a major university affirms this is a fact.
What a strange clarification. Every historian who teaches at a major university, while you're excluding the two people you've referenced, who I disagree with, by the way, Carrier and Bob Price, who are historians who don't think that Jesus existed. I disagree with them on that, even though people keep trying to saddle me with that. My thing is,
I included the qualification, Matt, because there are many, and I'm not saying this about Richard or Bob or anything like that, but for example, there's lots of people who go, like, there are young Earth creationists who get PhDs in geology,
yes.
but they're not teaching, except for Kurt Wise at Harvard. They're usually not teaching at major universities. I use that clause.
Well, now we've gone to usually.
What?
Well, now we've gone to usually, because you had to add
Okay, well, that was one. That was just one.
Yeah,
Well,
and now you got one outlier.
There's
all
more
of
people
that,
in academia, Matt, who believe the Earth is less than 6,000 years old and think Jesus was never crucified. So it's a fringe view. It's rejected. And I know
sure.
you don't hold that view, but
that's an
it's just sort of
argumentum
like
ad populum, because the fact that people are convinced of something is not a measure of whether or not it's reasonable. Reasonableness. So first of all, neither truth nor reasonableness is determined by the number of people who believe it or how convinced they are.